Drinking rules in Australia you need to know. If there's one thing that connects cultures all around the world, it's the fact that humans love a good drink. Whether it's wine in France, vodka in Russia, sake in Japan, or beer in Germany, alcohol has always been part of the social scene. And here in Australia it's no different. But when it comes to alcohol, Australia has its own set of rules, restrictions, and cultural quirks that you should know about, especially if you're new here planning to visit, or even if you've lived here for a while but never really looked closely at the law. So, in this video we're going to break down the drinking rules in Australia from the legal drinking age where you can and can't drink, how strict the police are about alcohol, all the way to those quirky Aussie drinking traditions. By the end you'll not only know the rules but also pick up a few fun facts that might save you from an embarrassing, or even very expensive mistake. And before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and drop a comment below if you've had a funny or surprising experience with Aussie drinking laws. I'd love to hear your stories. Maybe you once got fined for drinking in the wrong spot, or maybe you have a secret tip for getting through a night out in Aussie style. Alright, let's raise a glass of water for now and get started. The legal drinking age in Australia. Let's start with the basics. In Australia, the legal drinking age is 18 years old. Pretty straightforward, right? If you're under 18, you can't legally buy alcohol, drink it in public, or enter certain licensed venues. If you're caught underage with alcohol, both you and the person who supplied it could be fined. Now here's where it gets interesting. If you're under 18, you can actually drink alcohol at home under parental supervision. Yep, it's up to the parents to decide whether their 16-year-old gets a sip of wine at Christmas dinner. But don't get too excited, this doesn't mean parents can host a schoolies party with vodka shots for everyone. Authorities can step in if it's unsafe. ID checks and buying alcohol. In Oz, don't be surprised if you're asked for ID, even if you're 30 and already have a few gray hairs. Bartenders and bottle shop staff can get into massive trouble if they serve underage drinkers, so they don't take chances. If you look under 25, they're likely to ask. And speaking of ID, only certain types are accepted: an Australian driver's license, passport, or a proof of age card. Flashing your gym membership or a blurry photo on your phone won't cut it. Drinking in public. Here's one that surprises many tourists. You generally can't just crack open a beer in the middle of the street or at the beach. Most states and councils in Australia have laws against drinking in public spaces. That means no casual walk and sip on the footpath. But, and here's the twist, some councils have alcohol-permitted zones. These might be certain parks, beaches, or festival areas where drinking is allowed at specific times. For example, on New Year's Eve, some cities open up designated drinking zones. Just don't assume every patch of grass is fair game. And yes, the police do patrol this stuff. If they catch you drinking in a restricted area, they can confiscate your drink and fine you on the spot. Imagine losing your $50 bottle of wine because you didn't see the no alcohol sign. BYO culture. Now let's talk about one of the most charming quirks of Australian drinking culture. BYO, which means bring your own. Many restaurants, especially smaller Asian eateries and casual places, let you bring your own bottle of wine or beer. You just pay a small corkage fee, usually around $2 to $5 per person. It's actually a brilliant system. You can bring that fancy bottle you've been saving, or just grab something from the bottle shop next door and enjoy it with your dinner. For travelers, BYO is a fun way to experience Australian hospitality without spending a fortune on restaurant wine lists. Bottle shops and buying alcohol. Speaking of bottle shops, let's clear up some confusion. In Australia, you can't just buy alcohol at the supermarket except in a few states like Western Australia where some supermarkets have liquor sections. Instead, you go to a bottle shop or bottle-o. These are dedicated liquor stores often attached to pubs. Opening hours vary by state, but many close around 9 or 10 p.m. Don't make the rookie mistake of showing up at 10:01 expecting to grab a six-pack. You'll find the doors firmly shut and the staff giving you that "mate, too late" look. Alcohol in pubs and bars. Australia takes its pub culture seriously. Every suburb, no matter how small, seems to have a local pub. And while pubs are a social hub, they also operate under strict licensing rules. Bartenders are trained in responsible service of alcohol. That means they're legally required to cut you off if you look drunk. Yes, you heard that right. If you've had too many and you're slurring your words or wobbling around, the bartender won't pour you another drink. They might even ask you to leave. It's not personal, it's the law. And if the bar doesn't enforce it, they can lose their license. So the next time you're told, "Sorry mate, I can't serve you another," don't argue. Just accept it and maybe grab a glass of water. Drinking and driving. This one is huge and for good reason. Australia has very strict drink driving laws. The legal blood alcohol concentration limit is 0.05% for most drivers. That usually translates to about 2 standard drinks in the first hour, then 1 per hour after that. But it depends on your size, metabolism, and whether you've eaten. Learner and probationary drivers, called P-platers, often have a 0 BAC requirement, meaning they can't drink at all before driving. Random breath testing is a big thing in Australia. Police set up checkpoints and pull drivers over at random to blow into a breathalyzer. You don't need to be swerving or speeding to get stopped, it's truly random. And the penalties are harsh. Fines, license suspension, and even jail for repeat offenders. So yeah, the golden rule is simple. If you're drinking, don't drive. Australia has plenty of Ubers, taxis, and public transport options. Dry communities and restrictions. Here's something that surprises many people. In some parts of Australia, especially remote indigenous communities, alcohol is either heavily restricted or completely banned. These rules are in place to protect community health and safety, and they're taken very seriously. If you're traveling through the Northern Territory or parts of Queensland and Western Australia, always check the local rules before bringing alcohol into the area. Getting caught with grog in a dry community can land you in serious trouble. Drinking at sports and festivals. Australians love their sport, and alcohol often goes hand in hand with it. You'll find beer flowing freely at cricket matches, rugby games, and footy finals. But again, there are rules. You usually can't bring your own alcohol into stadiums, and drinks sold inside are often mid-strength to keep things under control. At music festivals, alcohol sales are tightly managed too. Drinks are served in plastic cups, and security keeps a close eye on anyone who looks too rowdy. So while you'll definitely have fun, don't expect to sneak in a hip flask. The funny side of Aussie drinking rules. Alright, let's lighten it up a bit. While the rules are strict, Aussies also have a funny laid-back side when it comes to drinking. For example, you might notice that pubs in Australia love to name drinks after animals. Schooners, pots, middies, and the size of the glass depends on which state you're in. So you could order a pot in Melbourne and a schooner in Sydney and end up with completely different sizes of beer. Confusing? Absolutely. And then there's the great Aussie tradition of the Sunday session. Basically, it's an excuse to start drinking early on a Sunday afternoon, often with live music before winding down for the work week. Oh, and don't be surprised if you hear the phrase, goon sack. That's slang for cheap boxed wine. It's popular with uni students and backpackers, and some even turn the empty bag into a makeshift pillow. Resourceful, right? Why these rules matter. Now, some of you might be thinking, wow, Australia is strict. And you're not wrong. But all these laws and rules are there to keep people safe. Australia has a strong drinking culture, but it's balanced with clear regulations to prevent harm. By understanding the rules, you avoid fines, stay out of trouble, and most importantly, enjoy the best of Australian life without regrets. Outro. So whether you're planning a night out at the pub, a barbecue with mates, or a beach picnic, keep these drinking rules in mind. They'll save you money, embarrassment, and maybe even your license. If you found this video helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and share your own stories or tips in the comments. Have you ever been caught off guard by an Aussie drinking rule? Or maybe you've got a funny BYO restaurant story. I'd love to read your experiences. Thanks for watching, and until next time, cheers but responsibly.